Hey guys, my name is Matimio, and welcome to another episode of Sunday Mailbox. This is a video series where you, the viewer, can submit your gaming or Battlefield-related questions, and then I will give my humble opinion on them. To get the formalities out of the way real quick, if you would like to submit your own question that could be featured in an upcoming episode, you can do so by leaving a comment down below, or by sending me a YouTube message. The first question for today is, what is your opinion on active protection and the other countermeasures, and do you think that they are imbalanced? I see like 90% of the Battlefield 4 community running active protection on the main battle tanks. I would agree with you 100% on this, and that's not because I believe that active protection is broken or overpowered. I just think that the other two countermeasures don't get the job done well enough, and they just don't do enough. Because right now, the reason why everyone is using active protection is because it's so much more versatile. If someone is shooting at you with an RPG, if someone is shooting TV missiles at you from an attack helicopter, all these different sources, if another tank is shooting at you with their main shell, it will block those rounds. And because of that, it gives you a lot more security when you're getting in firefights with multiple different types of combat scenarios. And then if you look over at the other two countermeasures, they just protect you from lock-on missiles, and they don't even protect you for very long. Like, I've been using the Javelin recently, and when I come across someone who is using smoke, I'll fire my Javelin at them, they'll activate their countermeasures, and I'll be like, alright, okay, I'll wait a couple of seconds, and then once the smoke disappears, I'll reacquire my lock, and that same Javelin that just flew up in the air will reacquire and then slam right into the tank. And so that countermeasure that was supposed to protect them from that Javelin didn't really do a whole lot. And so what I think needs to be done is just to increase the effectiveness or the duration of these other countermeasures, because if it created a cloud around the tank that protected you for a good while, then the person that was trying to lock on with you with the Javelin would need to either just sit there leaving themselves exposed, or just mosey on over to another objective, or just ignore you for that time period, and it would give you some breathing room to either repair your vehicle or get the hell out of there. But because the duration doesn't seem to be much longer than active protection right now, there just doesn't seem to be any reason to use it over the superior one, active protection. Like, it just does so much more for you. It's just so much more versatile. And so I think active protection is fine right now. I love how it allows you to combat all of these different sources of damage, but just the other ones are a little bit too weak. And so if DICE is going to do anything, hopefully they will buff those and leave active protection as it is right now. The next question comes from Artemy, and it is, do you think that DICE should add an animation when you enter a vehicle? This has been something that I know a lot of Battlefielders have wanted, but the funny thing is that all the way back and from Battlefield 1942 all the way up until Battlefield 4, they've never had an animation into getting into vehicles. Like, that's just kind of been a part of the Battlefield franchise. And I don't know exactly what DICE's reasoning for not having an animation, because I know it would make things more realistic, but I'm assuming is that it would also completely change vehicle combat the way that we know it. I mean, first of all, it would make it more realistic, and so if you do get into a vehicle, you're pretty much committing to that vehicle. If you get into a firefight with someone, or you're in a jet and you get into a confrontation and you're about to die, well, you basically have to accept that death, because if you try to go through the animation to eject from that plane, or you try to just get out of the tank, it's probably going to take you a couple of seconds, and in that couple of seconds, your tank is probably going to explode. And so this would probably secure a lot more kills for people that are trying to take out those vehicles, which I know a lot of people would like. On the flip side, though, this would also be a huge nerf to vehicle-based combat, especially tank combat, if everything else stayed the same in the game. Because right now, if you are in a tank and you're riding around, let's say you're either in the gunner position or you're the driver, you guys know that you jump out all the time to repair. That's just how you are an effective tank driver. But if there was an animation, a 1 to 2 second animation just to get out of the vehicle, that would leave yourself very exposed. And so you would have to really think about, well, should I jump out at this point? Should I just stay in it, accept it, and try to take out the guy, you know, that's over there, that's just about to kill me, cross my fingers that I kill him before he kills me? Or should I risk going through the 1 second animation to try to get a repair off? And so, really, this would be a nerf to vehicle-based combat. Not only would you have to think more about engagements, which I know many people would like, that would bring more tactical type of gameplay to Battlefield, but at the same time, because the animation is in place, if you try to get off those quick repairs, that's gonna no longer be an option in the game. Like, you're gonna have to take a while to try to get that repair off. And so pretty much at that point, you're gonna see a lot more people staying in their tanks longer, which people may enjoy. That may be what a lot of people would like to see, where the battlefield heads, and then only repair your vehicle when you're in a safe spot or you know you're behind cover for at least a couple of seconds. So a solid suggestion, but DICE really will have to think about, is this where we want to take the Battlefield franchise? Is this something that we want to add into the game, and weigh the pros and cons of it? The next question is, what do you think about DICE implementing roof destruction into a future DLC or upcoming Battlefield? If you place C4 on the ceiling, you can explode a hole into the roof and jump down, eliminating your enemies. It would create a more dynamic gameplay. I really like this idea. Like, once you described being able to C4 a rooftop and then jump on in and flank your enemy, I just thought that that was like the coolest thing, and I would love if that was in the Battlefield franchise. The downside of it though, and where I could see this meeting some resistance, is that one of the best things about running into a building is that it gives you some cover from helicopters and from jets and from everything that's up in the sky, or even vehicles. And if you had the option to blow out the roof of these buildings, well, then all of a sudden, those buildings that were normally cover from those vehicles no longer is the case if you're playing as an infantry. Like, if a helicopter really is determined to take you out, you run into one of these small buildings, or you want, even if you were on, let's say, something like Zavad, if you had the ability to take out the roof and slowly chip away at it, then everyone inside is going to be a lot more exposed to all the different helicopters that are flying around. And so, while I don't think that's necessarily the worst thing that could happen in the game, because once again, as you said, it would make the world feel more dynamic, and I know a lot of people would appreciate it, it would be something that would need to be taken into consideration. Maybe you can only blow a hole in the roof if you have an RPG, or if you're only using C4, and then helicopters and jets, their rockets wouldn't have those capabilities. That would be one way to go around it. But if it was added into Battlefield and it was implemented correctly, this could be an amazing way at flanking your enemy, making the world feel more dynamic, and so I think that this is an amazingly solid suggestion. The next question comes from Jet Trooper, and it is, do you think that the engineer class is underpowered in combat against vehicles? In most cases, it takes more than 4 rockets to successfully take down a tank or an LAV. Even the recon class is more effective now that it has C4. Would you say that a launcher buff is in order? So it kind of sounds like you don't understand how the dynamic of the game works, because the reason why RPGs and the SRAW and these rockets don't take out a vehicle as quickly as C4 does is because you can fire these from across the map. Like, if you're really good with a SRAW, you can take out a tank that's a good 100 meters, 200 meters out. Like, sure, it's going to take it a long time for the rocket to reach its destination, but you have that potential. As for using C4, one of the best benefits of it is that you can take out a tank instantaneously, but you also have to leave yourself extremely vulnerable. Like, you have to make your way up to a tank, and if the tank driver has any idea as to what's going on around them, they're gonna whip their massive cannon around and then slap you right in the face with it. And so it's a risk-reward type of system. If you want to play as the engineer and you want to have a lot of firepower at taking out vehicles, you do so. You have the RPG, you have the SRAW, and the new Javelin upgrade. Like, you are very effective at taking out tanks, but at the same time, you're not as vulnerable as someone who is using C4 for the recon class or the support class. And honestly, if they did buff the launchers even more in the game and they made it so that it didn't require 4 rockets to take them out, but all of them only required like 3 rockets, that would be a huge nerf, like a ridiculous nerf to tank and vehicle combat. Like, if you wanted to be in a tank and you wanted to be successful, going against even 2 people that are firing rockets at you, you're basically dead at that point. Like, there is almost nothing you can do to survive that combat scenario, because even if you're able to take out one, that probably gave the other player enough time to shoot another rocket at you. So 1 rocket from one player and then 2 from another, and you're dead. And so if they did that, I'm sure many people would complain. I would be one person that would complain, because that would just be ridiculously overpowered. And so I think what DICE has done with the at least anti-tank and anti-vehicle based rockets is a good thing. I like the balance that they have, and an upgrade is not needed. But that is about it for today's Sunday Mailbox, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Once again, if you would like to submit your own question that can be featured in an upcoming episode, you can do so by leaving a comment down below or by sending me a YouTube message. But until tomorrow, guys, have a good one and take it easy.